It's always great to see a full church on Christmas and great to see people who have maybe traveled in from out of town, people who have come in from other areas. How many have come down here from somewhere farther up north? All right. And how many have come up here from somewhere further down south? Some few hands there. All right. Notice how naturally we speak of coming up or coming down when we speak of traveling north or south, regardless of whatever elevation changes we might or might not experience as part of our travels. In fact, we even speak that way in spite of physical elevation changes. Tomorrow morning, for example, I'll celebrate the morning Mass in Winslow. We might say, I will drive down to Winslow for Mass, even though that church is actually about 600 feet above sea level, more than where we are here. From pretty early on in our lives, we associate our own movement with the way it would be shown on a map. And because maps put the north on the top and south on the bottom, we generally speak of northward travel as going up and southbound travel as going down. And as normal as that seems for us to describe travel that way, it hasn't always been the case. In fact, our gospel reading today is a good example. When Luke describes the journey that Mary and Joseph take in order to comply with the Roman enrollment or census, he says, and Joseph too went up from Galilee, from the town of Nazareth to Judea, to the city of David that is called Bethlehem. Our 21st century ears hear that sentence, and we might think that Mary and Joseph traveled from south to north. But that's actually the exact opposite of what happened. The town of Nazareth and the region of Galilee are in the northern part of Israel. The city of Bethlehem and the region of Judea are in the southern part of Israel. Mary and Joseph actually traveled south for the enrollment, not north. So why is it that Luke says that Joseph went up when he's speaking about this journey to the south? Well, the first thing to remember is that maps didn't always have the north on the top in those days. So most people would not have naturally connected north and up as being similar or in any way interchangeable. Instead, among the Jewish people, it was common to refer to any travel toward Jerusalem as going up, and any travel moving away from Jerusalem as going down. Jerusalem was the spiritual high point for the Jewish people, in addition to being at a pretty high altitude itself. There are, in fact, at least 14 times in the Bible when the phrase is used, going up to Jerusalem, or someone is described in their movement as going up toward Jerusalem, no matter what direction they're coming from in terms of north, south, east, or west. And even in modern times, when a Jewish person immigrates to Israel, that move is referred to as making aliyah, which literally means making an ascent, moving upward because they're going closer to Jerusalem. Now, since Bethlehem is close to Jerusalem, travel from Nazareth to Bethlehem would have been described as going up, just as easily as we might speak today of going up from Texas to Arkansas or from Arkansas to Missouri. This pattern of speaking about travel to or toward Jerusalem as going up is just one small result of that city's great importance. With such importance attached to Jerusalem, we might ask ourselves, why then was Jesus born in Bethlehem? The practical answer, of course, is that Joseph and Mary had to go to Bethlehem for the enrollment. Joseph was of the house and family of David, and so had to go to Bethlehem. The spiritual significance is that Bethlehem is the city in which King David was born. And Jesus is now the new King of the Jews. Jesus is the Messiah, the anointed one, just as David was anointed when he became king. Bethlehem also means house of bread, so it is fitting that the bread of life would be born in a city with that name and placed in a manger, normally a feeding trough for animals, since in the Eucharist, he becomes our food. Within our lifetimes, I cannot imagine us changing the way we refer to north as going up. We don't necessarily need to change that use of language, though, to recognize that anything which puts us spiritually closer to Jesus means that we are going up spiritually. For us as Christians, there is no city on earth, there is no place on earth that holds the same importance that Jerusalem holds for the Jewish people. There's no particular place that we can see always as up in the same way that Jerusalem is in the Bible. Yet we can ask ourselves whether our own actions are spiritually lifting us up to be like Jesus, rather than a place being always up. For us, it's a person, the person of Jesus himself. Today, we celebrate his birth. We celebrate the event in which God, after revealing himself to his chosen people for centuries, has sent his only begotten Son into the world, taking on our human nature and becoming like us in all things but sin. We celebrate our newborn King. We celebrate the baby lying in a manger. My brothers and sisters, throughout our lives, let us go up to Jesus. Merry Christmas.